Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another SSCAIT report. Today we will be looking at some more replays recommended from the SSCAIT Discord, the link for which you can find in the description below. My name is Chobo Swaggins, aka Jealous from Team Liquid, and first game we have here, it's Diaz, which is Saida, actually. It's something that I didn't put together until very recently. Saida, of course, being famous as the premier Korean AI for many years. Best was on the development team of that, Best being, of course, the programmer from Protoss. As a result, this AI is quite strong in TvP and just in general as well. This was marked as a hardcore TvT. So we have Adias here spawning in the top right as the white Terran on Fighting Spirit, and we have Krasio, another very strong Terran, on the bottom left as the brown Terran. So cross-map TVT, this might be a doozy. Lots of potential for expansion, difficult to pressure your opponents, and as we've seen before with TVT AI, the siege tank pushing is absolutely ridiculous. They siege on siege at inhuman speeds and manage to push locations that humans would never attempt to push simply because of the lack of AI. Now, comparing the build orders, we do see that Krasio is slightly ahead in building their barracks and refinery. It seems like they will be off to a good start here. Both players looking to opt for one base tech play, which is quite standard. Scouting SCV being chased by another SCV. That's actually really cute too. I like seeing that. One Marine coming out for Saida. Krasio going to be aware of that. No production at all for Saida right now, which is interesting. I guess, yeah, saving up for a factory. Again, slightly behind Krasio in that department. Krasio seems to be just slightly cleaner with their build order. They're one supply ahead, one worker ahead, and they have more minerals and gas. Looks like it's going to be a two-factory build from Krasio here. Meanwhile, Saida looks like they're just now... Nope, they already scouted. I'm curious what's going to be here. Is this going to be a bunker expand? Seems like it. Yes, it is. One Vulture to come out first. One Vulture coming out of Krasio as well. It's going to be interesting to see what they opt for here. Looks like it's going to be a quick add-on. I wonder if they're going to go for mines or siege mode. Command Center now up for Adias, which should give an early economic lead, but potentially a worse position on the map against a two-factory play. It depends on how the pressure will mount against them here. Looking at... Yep, second factory here, and we have our first siege tanks on the way for both players. Two siege tanks at a time, actually, for Krasio, so it is going to be heavy siege play. Worker count still in favor of Krasio, but as I mentioned earlier, that should shift shortly in Adia's favor. Looks like they're not quite producing workers yet. Perhaps saving up for some other things. We can see a whole bunch of production here. Academy, Armory. Armory, incredibly important for that +1 and +2 attack upgrade that you need. The reason why is because with +2, siege tanks in siege mode take out other siege tanks with only 2 volleys. So, and we have our first engagement potentially here. First siege up, and looks like good positioning from both. One tank does go down for Krasio, the siege tanks. This is going to be our Marginot line here. It's going to be interesting to see. Oh, just a little bit aggressive, too aggressive here. Possibly one siege tank does go down, but this one is a bit lower in health as well. Does get taken down by a great push there from Krasio, sacrificing one siege tank to lower the health of the other, knowing that it has greater production and numbers at this time. So the push is on, and behind this... so anyway, I just wanted to finish up what I was saying about the Armory with regular upgrades 0-0, 1-0. It takes 3 siege tank shots to take out an enemy siege tank. With +2, it takes 2 shots. So whoever gets to +2 first often has a great advantage in terms of breaking tank lines. The Academy, of course, important for scanning your opponent and finding out if they're switching tech, if they are, what their production is like, and scouting for potential drop locations. Though I don't think we'll be seeing many drops in this matchup here. One Valkyrie out now for Krasio. Interesting choice. Likely the starport was built in order to get to that +2 upgrade, but although I don't see it spinning at the moment, the Valkyrie perhaps just to ward off the barracks, and great push here from SSCAIT. Uses the Goliaths to go up right on top of the tanks and take out a bunch of them. Unfortunately, a lot of the Goliaths do go down, and now SSCAIT, being closer to their production, has managed to push back slightly. Can't help but wonder if maybe this Valkyrie would have been better utilized as a siege tank. Maybe that line would have held a little bit better. Now the siege tank count is in favor for Diaz, and they are going to be pushing back against the position of Krasio. I'm quite surprised that they didn't unsiege and try to go a little bit further, perhaps not wanting to overextend themselves over a wider arc. Perhaps content with the position it has taken at the end of its bridge here. Would be interesting to see when they opt to go for an expansion, both players that is. Looking at the production, we have 4 factories, 2 add-on for SSCAIT, and only 2 factory, 2 add-on for Krasio, but that is partially due to that starport there. Looks like we're adding an... What is this? This is another factory. Okay, factory production has resumed for Krasio, and this is most likely why SSCAIT was able to push back this initial position, earlier production as a result of their earlier expansion, and now the push is continuing onwards. The tanks, siege tanks, Goliaths run up on the siege tanks again and again, take out the position from Krasio, but Krasio is now on 3 bases, 3 gases. That's going to help them in their production now as well. So even though they were later to their natural, they are going to be earlier to that 3rd gas, which could help swing things. It's actually going up to 4 bases now, which is quite a risky move. 3 bases coming up now for SSCAIT. What is this going to be? This looks like it's going to be a... I don't know why it doesn't show up here. Oh, it is. It is a starport. Like I said before, we do have spinning upgrades now for both players, actually. SSCAIT catching up to Krasio, which already has its upgrade. The air continuing to try to push back these barracks. For those of you who are not aware, siege tanks can shoot farther than they can actually see. And that's these buildings, they grant that extra vision and thus the extra range for the siege tanks. And that's why you see them floating around here. That's why they're crucial to a successful push, and that's why Krasio invested in air in order to try to pummel down this floating barracks from its opponent. The Goliath is doing the same for Diaz. Now the position has become quite advanced from SSCAIT. It's quite far forward. There is potential for run-bys or something of that nature, or to wrap around, or to push from multiple sides for Krasio, but the siege tank count now for SSCAIT is quite high. Army supplies are dead even, and worker counts are quite even as well. Krasio pulling out ahead with its 4 bases, 4 gases. It's actually now on 5 bases and soon to be 5 gases. What an incredible expansion rate from Krasio. But at the same time, it hasn't been able to maintain this position in the middle. I'm quite... maybe it's because I see now, a dropship with vultures from SSCAIT. Okay, that's nice. Could be used to bomb siege tanks, but there is air presence for Krasio here. It would be difficult to get in against Marines, Wraith, and if the Valkyrie is still out there somewhere. But in terms of pure mech count, I was going to say that SSCAIT is ahead, but that is no longer true. Looks like there was some distraction going on here. 2 dropships, actually. Some raiding over here. There's just too much going on. I'm going to slow it down for a bit. This is a fantastic game. SSCAIT now taking its 4th gas at the 12 o'clock position. Krasio taking this base to replace the one that is being harassed now, potentially. And the push seems to have stalled out for SSCAIT here. It is not able to continue pushing, being farther away from its production. Production and SimCity, by the way, looking fantastic from SSCAIT. Look at this factory placement, quite beautiful to look at. +2 should be on the way for both players. Actually, Krasio having completed it well before SSCAIT in this case, giving it that potential advantage in any future engagements for the time being. Perhaps could be used as the timing to break this rather tenuous position that SSCAIT has in the middle. I think that would be a prudent decision here, but it looks like it's not going to invest in that at this time. Perhaps more focused with other things going on. Although obviously AI focus is kind of maybe not the right term to use there. Valkyrie and Wraiths are out, and they are going to continue pummeling down this barracks. This barracks has been getting repaired consistently though, and the siege tank line is quite fierce here. D-Matrix being used on siege tanks, that's something that you rarely see. It was starting to become more popular towards the end of the Kespa era of professional Brood War around 2011. So it should be noted that Krasio, even though it is on more bases and more gases, has not been able to mine them quite comfortably and is somewhat behind positionally in terms of its influence on the map. Looks like SCAIT is trying to spread out a little bit further. I wonder if this is going to be within range. The barracks no longer providing vision. The Wraith's not capable of doing so either, and it looks like there's been a sort of a soft air switch from Krasio, which is something that you often do see in TVT. At some point, when the siege tank lines become too fierce, one of the players will transition to almost entirely Wraith production to try to take advantage of the heavily grounded enemy army. And given the Vulture production and lack of Goliaths from SCAIT, and the fact that they're behind in Wraith count, it could assist Krasio in breaking this position finally in the middle of the map. More harassment and drops coming down from SCAIT. Fantastic drop here. I've been told that it's incredibly difficult to code for drops, especially drops onto mineral lines, and knowing when to do it and how to utilize it. Looks like it took out quite a few SCVs here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, it didn't take out that many. The worker counts are equal at around 62. Army advantage for SCAIT though, and even though this army does detract from the main force in the center, it also forces a bunch of armies being pulled to take it out, and the command center might actually go down here. A gas down for Krasio, who is on 4 gases, so that actually, well, you can't even really count this one as an active gas. Vultures keep coming over here to take out the SCVs, but it's an even 4-base to 4-base match right now. The main has been mined out for SCAIT, and continues to make dropships as well, actually, and repairing them. That's cute. Using them waiting for the next time. This line has been maintained, and SCVs, I don't wonder where they're going. Maybe trying to support their army. Maybe, I don't know what this is actually. Maybe they were trying to transfer over here, but realizing the danger of doing so because the siege tank's in the middle. And the Wraith production has stopped. It looks like it was, like I said, a soft transition to air. It's not going to continue those air numbers. What you may often see is someone throw down like 8 starports and start just pumping Wraith. But that's usually when you're in a kind of a stalemated situation. By the way, I want to bring your attention to this minimap and show you the mine coverage from SCAIT looking fantastic on its side of the map. It doesn't work against Wraiths or Vultures, which are more likely to be flying across that area. However, it does provide vision and coverage of any enemy movements in that area. SCAIT, in the meantime, it should also be noted that it's on 10 factories, whereas Krasio, it looks like it's 4 or 5 factories. It's quite incredible how much Krasio can produce, given such a low factory count. I mean, in general, in TVT, you maybe don't go up to such high production building numbers as you do in other matchups like PVT. But in this case, with half the production, Krasio is keeping pace with SCAIT. Again, ahead in workers, but slightly behind in army. This position is being held by Ideas. This expansion will not be retaken. I'm quite surprised that this position hasn't been taken by Krasio behind their position. This gas continuing to be denied by constant Vulture raids, and we just have a fantastic game on our hands here. It's really, really fast-paced, intense, and it looks like there were drop ships. Maybe did they perform some sort of drop recently, or are they coming back to load up some army? Oh, maybe they are routing in a way to confuse the enemy. Not quite clear on that. If this drop goes here, that could be quite devastating for Krasio. Krasio is on 3 mineral lines. This one maybe can be called a half, so it's 2.5 mineral lines. And there is a lot of SCVs here, quite a number there. So if the drop does come in here, and that looks like what is going to happen here, 3 drop ships, what's going to come out, siege tanks and Goliaths, quite standard here. The SCVs run away really quickly, only a couple of them going down. 1 dropship going down as well, and this gas is now denied from Krasio. SCAIT continuing to apply the pressure. Vultures actually found their way all the way here somehow, navigating around this siege tank position, and they're going to try to harass here, but the presence of siege tanks. Look at that beautiful mine lay, by the way. It didn't work, but that would have done huge damage to the SCVs there, taking them, a lot of them out, and maybe even the tank as well. Great heads-up play from both for laying the mine and to kill it before it pops. The siege tank line has moved forward slightly for Krasio, it seems like. It looks like he's trying to edge out on this kind of diagonal here, perhaps trying to reclaim this base eventually as well, now that the siege tanks there have been taken out. looks like this position is going to be maintained for now. This position has been denied, and I think we can speed up a little bit so we can hit a few more of these replays in the future. We do have quite a few recommended to us. Let's see how this all ends. Command center being placed off center because of the fact that there's a mine here. Production has slowed down a little bit for both players. It seems like not all factories pumping at once. ID is quite low on minerals, actually. Perhaps made a couple of factories too many, actually, in this case. Another drop came in here, actually, and this base is now getting taken out from Krazio. There's pressure being applied here as well. Only one siege tank here, but it looks like it's not going to be able to make its way up as Wraiths and siege tanks come to defend this position. The SCVs are forced to run away, though, and now all of his economy is on one base here. And actually, I'm not quite sure how Adias has been losing so many workers. I mean, I haven't been noticing where Krazio is applying that pressure. Maybe the SCVs are all being brought to the front to try to repair and get taken out by the siege tank fire. That is the only thing I could possibly see that would explain the consistently hemorrhaging numbers of Adias, as it has stayed lower in workers than Krazio, if slightly, throughout the majority of this game. But again, now with this position being under siege, Krazio is mining 2 mineral patches. Does have somewhat of a bank, though. Actually, it has been able to reclaim this position. I forgot about that. But this position is very tenuous. There are turrets coming up. There is one siege tank in a really good position here, but it's not going to defend on the ramp. SCV's going down here at the front, and another drop here could seal the deal for Diaz now, or perhaps here as well, as Krazio did a great job of managing to retake this position. And actually, Diaz's numbers in the middle have been dwindling ever so slightly. There is quite a number of Wraiths here, not that much air support, anti-air coverage rather, from Saida in the middle, and the the barracks is getting pummeled by Valkyries and Wraiths yet again. Vessels dancing around, going to be used for D-Matrix, as we see here on Saida's side, and this is just a beautiful dance to watch in a way. It's really funny to see how these AI interact with one another. Some more defensive matrix going down, and it looks like this line is going to hold. Saida asserting itself in the middle here with the production and dedication of army. This position now under siege on the low ground. There was just not quite enough coverage from Krazio here. Would have been a good position to put some siege tanks to prevent this kind of uphill push. The SCVs being forced to run away now again, but some of them have returned to mine. Notably, the gas is absent here. Krazio is a bit higher on gas than Adias, but that is not necessarily for long. Excuse me. And now, actually, there's been some restructuring of the position here. I guess it was because some tanks were pulled in order to defend this crucial base for Krazio. And it looks like Saida did not quite manage to take advantage of that position. There's a lot less tanks on both sides now here, but the line is more or less the same as it has been for quite some time. Some vulture harassment here. Ooh, a sneaky little base over here from Krazio with an off-center command center here. No gas there yet as well. And worker count now for Krazio just 27, so that is quite a low number. I don't think that it's going to be able to maintain even 5 factory production with that kind of number. No SCVs being made actually either. It looks like, well, maybe very few, but it looks like it's prioritizing maintaining its position at this time. Wraiths are harassing SCVs in the middle of the map here, randomly located. Ooh, and I actually missed the fact that Saida took this middle base. This is quite useful because it has 2 gases here. As you can see, Saida's mineral to gas ratio a little bit mineral heavy at the moment. This naturally happens as these Vespene geysers deplete, and looks like all 3. Nope, that one's still healthy. This one should be. Nope, this one's still healthy too. So 2 and 2. 2 healthy gases, 2 depleted ones at the moment for Saida. For Krazio, none here. This one somehow still is pumping out gas. That's interesting to me. But it looks like it's only 1 gas for Krazio, and despite the fact that it put up a valiant effort, I believe that it is losing ground here. As Saida's economies have been largely untouched, it has managed to secure almost the entire north side of the map, whereas Krazio has been struggling to maintain its own even third, and its own unnatural third here, as another siege tank, Goliath, and vulture harassment push makes its way to this base. The Goliath's unfortunately unable to go up because of this siege tank blocking it, so they won't be able to take out this command center at the moment, but it's becoming... Ooh, and actually this line has changed a little bit, and this vertical position is actually quite advantageous for Saida, as it now has a more ready access to both the back and the front of this base is going to be very difficult for Krasio to maintain its hold on any of these bases here. This command center got taken out too, it seems like, and now SSCAIT is just taking the whole entire map. Quite an insane effort from both players here. Another drop coming in. Let's see where it goes. Is it going to take out this base? Yes, it is. There's no army here at all. So many SCVs go down. Just 17 workers now for Krasio, and you can't help but feel that the writing is now on the wall. With the army counts being heavily in SSCAIT's favor, even if it is hemorrhaging tanks in the middle, I don't believe that Krasio will be able to make much headway if they do break this line. Now, moving on to this area, they're all SSCAIT. SSCAIT has everything. Krasio now no longer mining, 0 minerals, gas is hemorrhaging, and we're going to call the GG here. I think that was quite a performance and a hardcore TVT indeed. Thank you for the suggestion. Our next game was marketed as a really interesting game between Rising Star Monster and Banana Brain. Monster as the Zerg, orange Zerg on the top left of La Mancha here. On the bottom right, we have Banana Brain as the red Protoss, another very strong AI, and we're going to see how this pans out. Now, recently we've heard some criticisms about how Monster may not have the best eco management, in the sense that they continue to mine, have 3 drones on gas even when it's not necessary, how its expansion and hatchery placement may not be as up to par as some of the other macro-oriented Zerg players. But it has still managed to rise quite comfortably to a high ladder rating. And Forge Nexus coming up here for Banana Brain, great build order, knowing that the Zergling pressure is not going to be that great at the moment. Forge Gateway being the tight position that you can take here. No Zerglings can pass in this area. Drone does go down here as well. And it looks like it's going to be a standard game for now. Third base and third hatchery coming up from Monster, quite standard. And this is the moment I'm kind of talking about. It did take a drone off gas to make what looks like it's going to be a Hydralisk den. Yes, indeed. 3 hatch Hydra production would be a great way to pressure this position from Banana Brain. It could take down the Forge and Gateway quite easily, and with only 1 cannon here, it would not be enough. But now cannons are being added. Really love this Sim City here from Banana Brain. It was a fantastic building placement here. More cannons would be necessary if Hydro production continues, but it's actually going into Sunkens. It seems like maybe it's worried about pressure of its own, quite aware of the fact that Protoss AI are in favor of just producing mass Dragoons. And the first pressure is coming in now. A couple of Dragoons and a Zealot. They're going to see the Sunkens and the Hydralisks and back up. And now this is reminiscent of the game that I casted last week, where we saw this Hydralisk-Dragoon interaction. So it's going to be interesting to see if it pans out any different here. Dragoons on the high ground are going to deal well with these Hydralisks, but not quite well enough. Hydralisks in numbers are going to be greater than Dragoons, but when the numbers are equal, Dragoons are still going to win. 1 Corsair here, perhaps providing some scouting information, maybe some harassment potential against Overlords, but it's not going to do that much on its own. Both bases now have Sunkens. Zerglings mixed in with the Dragoons, by the way. Quite an interesting way to do a little bit more trickle damage and maybe eat some shots from the Dragoons. But now it looks like it's going to be pure Hydralisk production. Not regrouping in time, not pulling back quite on time to take favorable trades, it seems like, as Banana Brain takes a third base of its own, which should be a position that it should be comfortable with, as 3 base Protoss against 3 base Zerg is an advantageous position. Quite a few Sunkens here, though. I'm not sure about applying pressure here. 4 Dragoons and a Zealot go down. Suddenly the numbers quite low. And what is Monster doing behind this? It's adding hatcheries and producing Hydralisks. With 6 hatch Hydra production, that should be able to more than match the 5 gateway, 6 gateway production of Banana Brain, and that's where it might start falling into some trouble. We see actually a little diversionary force here, excursionary force perhaps, sorry, is going to apply pressure here, and 2 cannons not going to be enough to hold here as the army is distracted in a way. Are the probes going to run away? It looks like they should. The cannon actually gets denied. Probes are getting taken down. Zealots not ready to engage because there's not a significant enough number of them, and now workers are going down. Even though it did have a 20 worker lead, and this is a big loss for Monster. I'm surprised that it didn't try to focus down the Nexus here when the first pressure came in. I think that would have been worth it. But then again, it is a difficult position where Protoss ball is growing. So if you maybe not wanting to lose too many Hydralisk numbers, the counter pressure is coming into the third base of the Zerg now. But with this amount of Sunkens, I believe that it should be able to hold, and a nice flank from the back here. production coming in from the top left base to help support as well, and this attack does get rebuffed. And if there's another swing here, this third base might actually be able to go down this time if the Hydralisks are controlled well. Only one cannon coming up, and no, the Hydralisks decide to bail. The bridge is not a place where they choose to engage, although at this point the concave is favorable to them. Looks like it chose not to engage after all. Looking at the upgrades, we do see one across the board, one armor, one attack, both for Hydralisk and for Protoss Ground Army. Interestingly enough, look, this is Templar energy upgrade before Storm, so I'm quite curious about that. Not sure where that's coming from. +2 now on the way for the Protoss player. And we do have Storm. Maybe that's a glitch in OpenBW. It says that that's the energy upgrade, but it's actually Storm. And with Storm now, your Hydralisk is going to struggle a little bit more against this composition from the Protoss player. However, now Mutalisk is being added as well. Mutalisk often utilized to snipe Templar. And in this case, 2 Mutas alone are going to be able to chase down these 2 Templar. Big losses for Banana Brain here, as its position continues to be somewhat tenuous on the map. 4th base actually goes down to some sneaky zealots here, and this is a crazy back and forth. Banana Brain taking its 4th base of its own now, trying to do so at least. Lurkers out on the map now as well. Scourge, Mutas. Scourge are going to be great at dealing with the observers that are here and helping add potency to the Lurkers. 1 obs goes down there, as you heard. The Overlord and Scourge Micro being really good here, but with an apparent attack upgrade advantage here, the Zealots clean up those Zerglings quite easily when Protoss are +1 ahead of the Zerg counterpart. Zealots only need 2 hits to kill Zerglings, and that is maybe why they melted so quickly there. Quite interested to see why the transition happened so early. I guess it's anticipating the fact that it should be getting its... Interesting. Oh, that's why I see. That's why the Storm was. Yep, there's the Adrenal Glands upgrade. I believe that's what it's called. Adrenalings, as they used to be known. They make the Zerglings attack a lot faster. The Reaver's now in the middle of the map. This reminds me of my play from back in the day. I used to just crawl around the map with Reavers like this to support my army. And they're just army movement everywhere, action everywhere. These Zerglings are going to be incredibly effective at clearing out bases. But in this case, it looks like that they didn't path quite well. They took out this cannon and then this cannon from the right side, and they could have taken out the Nexus and some probes after that. But the reinforcements from the Protoss have arrived. Now it looks like Monster is trying to take a 4th base here, and is applying pressure on this 4th base from Banana Brain. Another swing potentially in the Zerg's favor here. As Banana Brain's... Oh, nope, that's Monster's top right base here. Zerglings and Hydralisks are going to do well against these Zealots, but it looks like more support is coming. Cannons are coming back up, and the Hydras and Zerglings are forced to retreat. More interest in protecting its new expansion here. The Zealots... Ooh. Oh, I love that's such a cute burrow here. No, recognizing that it's in danger. Unfortunately, didn't manage to save the drones, and... Oh. Sorry, I raised the volume on my headphones really loud for a second. Anyway, this base is going to go down from Monster at the top right, and this is a fantastic game. There's pressure coming in on this side as well. With Reaver and so many Templar here, they could definitely apply pressure here, but the Templar look like they're kind of glitching out, not able to make their way up the ramp here. Pressure here as well, taking off probes with beautiful Mutalisk Micro. And this game has just become action all over the place. There's a shuttle here, probably for transporting Reavers. There's army pressure on this end. And it should be noted that 4 bases is not where Zerg wants to be at this time. You kind of want to be on at least half the map at this point in the game with 19 minutes. And Banana Brain on 4 bases is going to feel more comfortable about its position. Actually, you have sneaky 12 o'clock expansion here from Banana Brain. Supply lead is there, both in workers and army. Not unnormal, but just the mix of army composition and the control from the individual pieces seems to be netting Banana Brain a slight edge in its ability to take out and defend bases at this time. Keep in mind that, again, this Nexus crucially did not go down earlier in the game when it might have shifted the path of the game here. Weird storm miss here, but Monster also famous for its storm dodging. Looks like it's going to try to take out this base at the top. Ooh, Lurker Egg here to later hold the bridge, and actually opts not to do so. It looks like it might try to cache this army out of place. Great concave building up here, but unfortunately does not work out. This is not enough of a force to defend this base, and just a couple of units here are going to prove annoying, but it should be noted that throughout this time, Banana Brain is gaining resources from this position, and those are resources that potentially should have been monsters, as this is kind of its natural third location here. Drones are being transferred over. It looks like they're still trying to come up here, but unfortunately they keep getting picked off before being able to arrive there, even if they do try to hide with Burrow. A couple more drones going down here. And I can't help but feel that these kind of worker hemorrhaging situations are what prevent some AIs from winning the game, because they just can't realize the fact that they continue losing workers over and over and over again in the same spots. Should be noted though that the base did clearly go down. Drones continue to transfer over though. Now 2 shuttles with Reavers. Banana Brain are so good at this control with 2 shuttles and 2 Reavers, picking them up, shooting and dropping them. Dropping them down, shooting and picking them back up in rapid succession. However, needs to be wary of the Mutalisk and Scourge count. Look at that dodging. These Templar are here, and oh my goodness, look at this little community we have here. Zerg and Protoss sharing a main and natural. That's quite funny. These Templar are actually in a good position to defend from both sides, and something that I would have loved to see here is maybe a Nidus Canal. I'm not sure if any AI use Nidus Canals at this time. Nidus Canal here sends some Zerglings. The first few waves will get stormed, but just cannons and Templar would not be enough to hold a significant Zergling count. And Monster is actually mined out of 3 bases. Look at the income, it's so slow. And with a 100 supply lead now, it feels like Banana Brain has taken command of this game. There is 1 base mining here and 1 base mining here, but 2 base economy is not going to keep up with a 2 base Protoss economy. And Protoss has denied this base, or at least this area, for Monster yet again. And the constant hemorrhaging of drones continues, as we see drones now coming down here to be taken out by cannons, and so many Templar are here now. Now this base has become much more of a difficult position to break. 3 Reavers in 3 shuttles, storming the larva, and these Reavers should be able to make quick work of these Sunkets, especially with the support here. One Scourge comes in, takes out a shuttle. Now this Reaver's going to stick around. Another set of Scourge come in. The Sair now to distract and support, but now the base is going to go down with this Reaver Zealot pressure. And with only 1 mining base now, you can't help but feel that Monster is on the ropes. Banana Brain even taking its natural here. Quite interestingly enough, this drone is going to escape, and these bases are going to go down 1 by 1 now, as Banana Brain is nearly maxed out, has 65 workers, healthily mining on 2 bases, and it was a fantastic game, fantastic effort from Monster, but Banana Brain has proven itself to be a little bit too strong. Perhaps a little bit wasteful here with these ults against these Lurkers and Sunks here, but it does get the job done. The Reaver giving great support here, and I think we can call the GG right here. Well played by both Monster and Banana Brain. Thank you for the share. Next we have what someone called AI versus Human Shenanigans. So this would be from the Schnail ladder, StarCraft Human and AI League. NAI League, if that makes sense. So in the top right, this is Icarus. We have the blue Protoss, Jin, our human player for today. And in the mid left on Icarus, we have the yellow anonymous AI. We're not sure who this AI is, because when you play the ladder games, it doesn't reveal who the AI is until after you've played it. So in this case, we won't be aware of what the AI is. Maybe we'll try to make some guesses. Jin going for a pylon scout, perhaps unsure of what the AI would be doing. Looks like it checked some proxy locations. No, it looks like it's not aware of where the main bases are for its opponent here. Is it going to... Nope, it did not even check this one. The human... So the shenanigans have begun already. It did manage to find the opponent, though. Sees that it's a walled up Terran. This wall is Zealot tight. When the deep... Wait, is it? Yeah, it is. When the depot's to the right of the barracks, that is Zealot tight. Meantime, it looks like... What is this? Gateway Nexus, very greedy. Looks like it was maybe a 12 Nexus build. Cybernetics Core and gas already up, and oh my god, look at this. Okay, alright, we're slowing it down. This is a way to deal with this. You pull a bunch of SCVs and a bunch of Marines, and then you just take down the Nexus and Gateway. But that is a lot of SCVs pulled. That is all the SCVs pulled. That's ridiculous, and that's a lot of Marines too, a lot more than you would normally have at this point in the game. Did it do this build blind, or I'm not quite sure even. It didn't add a gas at any point. Let's see the micro here. The control is going to go in favor heavily of the Marine presence, and all the probes go down at the natural. worker count now advantageous for anonymous AI. Will the Protoss be able to hold in its main? Dragoon production has started. We have seen some human micro be able to hold positions like this quite well, using shield batteries. This Zealot trying to out-micro these SCVs, taking a lot of damage though. First Dragoon is out, and the SCVs are on the Dragoons. The Dragoon pops out at such a disastrous time, and you can't help but feel for Jin, who just got their Protoss butt cheesed out of this map. Ridiculous. Ridiculous cheese. Fantastic game. Thank you for the share for these AI and human shenanigans. Our next replay is going to be another human versus AI game, and this is actually a player that we have seen before, Cinders 01, making their return to the SSCAIT report at the 12 o'clock position as the white Protoss on Moonglaive. And at the bottom right position we have the anonymous AI, again a Terran, and they are the teal Terran on, again, Moonglaive. So let's see how this pans out. Cinders had some amazing games against AI in the previous broadcasts, so it's going to be interesting to see how they will fare in this game, and what our AI is going to be doing here as well. Let's see. Cinders going for standard gateway gas, not taking the risk like the previous player Jin did. Looks like our anonymous AI is playing safe as well with the barracks and gas equivalent of its own. Cybernetics core coming up at around 13 or 14, which is quite standard. Looks like it's going to be one gateway Dragoon production for now, possibly into a Nexus. As we do see the core spinning, that means that, ooh, that's interesting. Actually, a second is, no, that's a factory and an academy. I have a suspicion that this might be Krasio based on this. Krasio, oh, nope, never mind. Going for upgrades now, taking its natural. This is going to be a sneaky build. This is a sneaky build. It's going to assume that there's an expansion here, the Protoss player. Even though in theory it could check around this way. It's going to assume that there's an expansion build because of the bunker coming up at the front. Bunker expand is quite common. Did it get that stim research? No, it looks... Oh yeah, it got marine range upgrade. Wow, interesting. Maybe that is the fake? Oh my god, these mind games are too serious for me, because if I saw a bunker, I would assume expansion, right? Expansion mech. But then when I see the range upgrade from the Marines, then I'll assume, okay, maybe it's some sort of biomech play, but it turns out it might be just straight up mech. No, Marine production is continuing. The engineering bay is spinning. No, it is going to be biomech. Siege tanks sieging and unsieging in awkward patterns. Oh wait, did they close? Nope, it's still open. This path is still open for potential pressure. Dragoons looking like they want to contain the Terran player position here. Adding a Nexus here soon as well. Let's slow it down a little bit as we've entered the mid-game. It should hear the sound of siege tanks sieging and unsieging. And by the way, that is a terrifying sound to hear because it almost always is followed by the sound of your army dying if you don't move out of the way quickly enough. So when I play against these AI and I hear this sound, I'm constantly in a state of anticipation for when that volley is going to apply some pressure. I'm constantly forced to check where my army is, and there we go. First volley here, great reaction from Cinders, really quick with it. APM is quite high. Player seems to be quite competent, but we already knew that from previous games. Gateway placement, I'll give it like a C, no offense. I'm a real stickler for gateway placement, but the production is going to be clean and continuous from these 7 gateways. Third Nexus is now coming up, maybe a little bit later than the Protoss wanted to. Third command center coming up for Cinders as well, and without OBS or Dragoon here, that command center looks like it's going to come up quite comfortably. A slight blunder from our Protoss player as he has 3 observers here, but none of them in crucial areas like this expansion or this expansion, which are potential expansion routes for the Terran player. Still continuing to produce Marines and medics, but I haven't seen very many on the map. No, there they are here. This biomech push could be dangerous with only Dragoons out on the map. Definitely need some speed lots and potentially high Templar in order to deal with it. Let's see how this progresses. Is this Dragon? It could be Dragon. Dragon does biomech, right? We'll see when the first engagements happen with the biomech to see how well it performs. Then maybe we'll see. Dragon, really strong PvT TVP player with its bio control. It dodges storms like a madman. Finally seeing the addition of some speed lots into the equation here. Not quite enough yet to handle this army potentially, but looks like the push is on. Siege tanks coming up on the high ground now. Dragoons are going down, but this is a great concave for the Protoss player, running forward a little bit to snipe some tanks, but with the Zealots trapped behind, Dragoons alone are not enough against these Siege tank counts. Siege tanks are going down, Medics and Marines are in low number now, but I kind of feel that that trade was better for the Terran player. I really can't help but feel that because there's just so little Protoss army left. Army supply equal, which is not a good spot to be in if in this situation for the Protoss player. Terran AI actually ahead in macro, and that's one thing that is devastating about this, is because during an engagement like that, the human player is more often than not going to struggle to produce consistently, whereas the AI is going to be pumping on all cylinders. Interesting factory location does get taken out here. Interesting building placements all over the place, actually. The third base is up without contest, and the third base is up for our human player here, but with only 55 workers, I have to feel that that is quite low for 3 base economy. Generally, you want maybe around 60 or 70 by this point in the game. But this cleanup from 2 or 3 sides with Dragoons, pure Dragoons actually, managed to clear up that position quite nicely. However, now over-investing maybe a little bit. So many Dragoons hemorrhaged over the last few seconds in this engagement. Now with dropships, ooh, Dragoons are actually already positioned here, maybe anticipating the dropships. Maybe it was a mistake because I see the Observer here as well. Some Zealots and Dragoons seem to be misrallied over here. I can't help but feel that with a couple more workers and a couple more gateways, maybe a little bit more preservation of army count, that Cinders could have been able to push this back much more convincingly. It is going to be able to take out this base, sending its whole army here actually, which I'm not sure I agree with, as the counter push from the Anonymous AI is going to take a pretty decent position here. This is going to be a difficult position to assail as it is very texture heavy here. However, it does open up the possibility for pushing from two sides. And now the path of production is blocked off a bit as well, actually. The Dragoons are getting shot at as they're going down this ramp, and that is not a good look. All the units that come down here are already on like half to 1/3 off health. And this position looks to be unbreakable now for the Anonymous AI, which takes down our valiant human player, Cinders. Cinders, thank you for continuing to provide entertaining games against our AI opponents. Thank you for the recommendation in the SSCAIT Discord as well. Very, very nicely done. Moving on, we have what was told to us is an interesting expansion pattern for this match. We have TSC Mu, the Protoss version. It looks like Protoss version 2 maybe, on Andromeda as the top left as the red Protoss, and in the bottom left we have Hao Pan, a Terran AI spawning on the bottom left. I always forget which part of that I said, like if I said race, color, position, and map, and I have to do it twice. That's why you often hear casters split that roll up, I think, but maybe that's just me. Anyway, first probe is coming forward quite quickly. It could be a forward gateway, which is not unusual. It is quite normal to center gate in PvT because that allows you to apply some earlier pressure, and it's hard for Terran to push that back because it's a while until their mech force becomes active on the map. And I think maybe, nope, it's actually just scouting through the middle. Nope, it is making a pylon, so the gateway is a possibility here. Poor Panda Bear guy is going to go down here to the vicious probe. Meanwhile, let's see what Hao Pan is doing. Hao Pan looks like it's gearing itself up to wall off. Another scouting probe for TSC Mu P, which should be noted, this is already a lot of economic investment. This is a forge. Huh. Is this going to be a cannon rush attempt? Because that seems to be what it could be based on just the initial buildings. And it's actually running back home after this. Quite confused about that. I'm not sure what to make of this build so far. We should see a barracks coming up soon for Hao Pan. Hao Pan, huh? 300 minerals, no barracks. Looks like one SCV blocked the other SCV. Oh, okay, it figured itself out. Quite late on the barracks. That's actually a little bit dangerous, but there is no cannon rush attempt or even a cannon contain here, at least for now. Gas is coming up for Hao Pan. And a cannon in the middle. This is something you never see in PvT, really. Another cannon. What is this? Maybe... yeah, I don't know what to make of this. This is something else. Another depot here. I believe that does wall. gas is now being mined. It looks like an SCV is ready to make a factory as soon as the gas comes in for it. And I'm just... Alright, let's see what happens. I mean, I can't make any real predictions. The probe actually manages to make its way in. When the barracks lifts, looks like a factory is now coming down a little bit, slightly unfavorable position, because now tanks have to route all the way around this way. And that's where the interesting expansion position comes in. It comes in the middle of the map. We have a forge, 2 cannons, and a nexus. I mean, in theory, the cannons would be good against any SCV marine pressure or vulture pressure, which are the most common ways of taking down fast expansions. I'm just not quite certain that it would apply so well to the middle of the map here, as this base is completely undefended. Gateway now coming up, and the gas looks like it's going to progress into a more standard composition of potentially zealots and dragoons towards the mid game. And in the meantime, we have Haupan with a starport coming after the factory, so most likely going to be some drop play here. Potentially some vulture drops would be quite effective here. Command center now coming up as well, is going to float its way down here, which is a move I really like. Keeps the command center safe. You can also react to pressure by pumping SCVs out of your main base until you're able to you know, take control of that natural position. Actually quite low on production of SCVs right now. Worker count is quite even despite the immense initial investment from TSC again, sending 2 probes out so early, going forge, cannon, forge and 2 cannons before nexus. These are quite non-standard decisions, and this cannon placement as well. It's not even excuse me. It's not even in the direction of where the Terran base is. Dropship now on the way. Interested if that probe caught it, perhaps. I don't think it did. I think I just made the window a little bit smaller by accident. But that should be good. It's going to be Siege Tank and 2 Vultures, and it's going to take out these probes quite easily. Looks like it was actually a Dark Templar build here from TSC, which could save it if it manages to make a DT here. It did lose quite a few workers at half the economy now, but it looks like Haupan isn't going to stick around to find out. Yeah, the TT pops out. It should be able to at least keep itself alive, and I'm sure that Haupan is quite confused about what is going on here at the moment. I'm not sure if it scouted that main base yet. I'm suspecting no. The DT unable to catch the Vulture aware of, as I say that, of course, commentators curse, the DTs take out the Vulture, but unable to apply any pressure of its own at the moment. The turret is coming up crucially right now for Haupan. It had no detection before this. There is going to be a science vessel out? Yes, it is. That is a great move to have, a great thing to have early against a DT player. Even if your production is not that great, they invest a lot into that early tech, and DTs are also quite expensive. So you do have the possibility of getting a fast science vessel out to assist you with detection, so you're not relying constantly on concept scanners and turrets which go down, and concept scanners which Haupan currently does not have. It looks like another sneaky expansion pattern here from TSC taking the natural third on the right hand side here. DT's chasing the vultures around. Is it going to herd the vulture into that base? No, the scan does come down, but it's quite useless in this position because the DT manages to chase down the vulture, or chase away the vulture from the area which is visible. Vulture is continuously running away from the DTs, keeping them occupied. I'm not sure who is keeping who occupied, to be quite honest with you, but another DT here. And it's is it pure DT production? Tried to lay a mine there, the DT took it out, and the Vulture as well. Another Vulture goes down, and there's actually not that much army at all from Haupan. You know, I did say that, you know, with it for a faster science vessel, you can get a faster science vessel, you can get away with it, and if you know you possibly won't die, it could actually be advantageous, but you need to have some production, and with the hemorrhaging of vultures, I believe that that might be a dangerous thing to have. But now moving all of its forces out, 5 siege tanks, 1 Goliath, 1 vulture, and 1 science vessel, and then add another vulture to that. 2 SCVs at the front here. It's going to go for a push. If it takes down the main base, that would be crucial to its victory because of the fact that there's so much tech here. An annoying vulture here going to harass some probes again. Nicely done by Haupan. Is it ever going to find these bases, though? That's what I'm really curious about. The push will be very difficult for TSC to stop. It is at half the worker count of Haupan and doesn't have very much production. Is making only DTs. And yeah, now with more workers going down, DT, not just 1 DT is not going to be enough to defend this position. And it looks like, oh, this base should be discovered now. Yes, absolutely. So it's going to know at least about this base, which is, what is this? This is so crazy. Like, all right. The Protoss went for DT. All right, I'm gonna start from the beginning. Forge expand in PVT with cannons into Dark Templar into Reaver carrier off of like 10 workers, and this is the kitchen sink build right here. I guess it has a bit of everything, just a little bit of everything. But unfortunately, that's not going to do well against this number of Terran mech units. The main base and tech is going to go down, but I guess thankfully enough, it still has Reaver tech because it put it here and it has a forge, I guess. There's actually no real workers here either. There's only 5 workers here, I believe. This game may be over and there's not going to be many more surprises here. One Dragoon is out on the map, but that is definitely not going to be enough to stop this. Actually, now quite a significant number of Terran units. Looks like the production did get kicked up a little bit. The Terran definitely aware of this base, is going to pressure from the back, take out this Nexus most likely. And that should about do it, I guess. This game almost definitely over. The Reaver is not going to be able to hold off alone, especially not against Wraith. And actually two Reavers actually, but either way, a fantastic game from Haupan. And that should about do it for today's segment. Thank you so much for tuning in and for following the SSCAIT report. We'll be back next week with more fantastic, entertaining games for you, both from AI versus AI and humans versus AI. This has been Chobos Wagons, aka Jealous from Team Liquid, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful evening, morning, afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. I just said it again. I'm crazy. All right. Take care.